Hello, dear beloved tribe. I am here with a fire in my belly, or as J. Crisp Crow says, maybe it's in my pants. I hope not. That could signify something else. But something is on fire, and it is, really something that I think I speak about a lot to my third level priestesses, and they probably get a bit bored of hearing it, but it is absolutely the truth, and it's what we need to all be reminding ourselves of on this path. And I guess what sort of occurs to me, and it occurred to me when I was on the mat at yoga class at 6 a.m. this morning, I get ideas about what I want to share, and this kind of dropped into my consciousness, this idea of really showing up. And really showing up to our devotional practices in a non-negotiable way. So yes, if you are one of my priestesses, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't handle hearing this again. But yes, you probably can, and you're probably going to be excited to hear it again, because it's a truth that I believe in. Our desire to consume knowledge and information is so often overlooked, that on this path of spiritual seeking, the attainment of new information, the next book to read, the next teacher to follow, the next thing to do, the next workshop to attend, we actually do not take the time to create the conditions in which the knowledge that we're attaining can become wisdom through embodiment. And what do I mean by that? Basically, I mean practice. We do not actually cultivate that inner discipline or inner discipline, that state where we can turn our understanding into experience. And that cultivation of that state is actually the key to all of our practices. And the cultivation of that state will allow you to go into those practices in a way that will make them real. So I talk about this quite frequently, but I feel like I want to talk about it from this angle again, because I think there is a temptation for us to become very superficial spiritual seekers. And we live at this time, we're in a spiritual zeitgeist. You've heard me speak about that before. We're in the second age of the mystical renaissance. We are bringing to the world, and I believe we as this group are particularly active at bringing an embodied spirituality to the world. But it can become easy for it simply to be the pursuit of more and more information without actually cultivating a discipline that will allow us to turn that knowledge into wisdom. I remember when Spiritually Fierce came out last year. We're coming up to the first anniversary, and I finished the recording yesterday, by the way, so the whole book has now been recorded. It's very exciting. That's not part of what I'm talking about now, though. That someone said, they were seeking some deeper practices, some deeper spiritual practices, and someone recommended Spiritually Fierce, and they're like, yes, I've read that, I want more. And I had a moment of kind of going, I'm pretty sure this isn't my ego talking, but if you had mastered every practice that's in Spiritually Fierce, and if you've read it, you'll know there's like a shit ton of practices in there, then in a way more would be completely redundant. Because there's only so many things that we can learn about that will ultimately, take us any further. What is at the heart and soul of all spiritual seeking, or what should be, is stillness, silence, and solitude. And even if we were simply to cultivate a life where we have those things every single day, where we would go as spiritual seekers is on a trajectory that would blow our minds. We'd all be Jesus walking around healing all the people. But we think it's about the attainment of knowledge. We think it's about techniques. We think it's about modalities. We think it's about seeing other people and getting them to do the things for us. And as JP Sears says, outsourcing our meditation practice. Whatever we think it's about, we are denying our personal responsibility. So I was in Canada last week, as you know, with the gorgeous Lisa Smith, and we were hanging out with our mate Joe Dispenza, who made out with Lisa. That's probably not quite accurate. He may have pecked her on the cheek, but either way, it was glorious. And he was explaining that at his workshops, he's actually stopped taking questions. And he stopped taking questions because every question would be the same someone trying to explain why his processes didn't work for them. And his processes are very simple. I don't know if you've noticed that, but ultimately the science is incredibly complex, but his processes are incredibly simple. It's meditation. I don't know if anyone's figured this out yet. There's 4 kinds of meditation in Becoming Supernatural, and that's it. That's Joe's practices. His science is mind-blowingly complex. He provides all the brain scans you could possibly imagine. It's just breathtaking to read it. But when it comes to applying what he's talking about, how do you attain the great benefits that he's describing? It's meditate, 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 and meditate. And you can do some breathing in there. Some pranayama would be really good. And he's drawing on ancient traditions, including Kundalini yoga, and he's drawing on, really, really simple devotional practices that are as old as time. One's a walking meditation, one's a seated meditation, one's a lying down meditation, and there's one other meditation, I can't remember. But he stopped taking questions at his workshops where people would go, oh, it's not working for me, and I'm the exception, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, no. Have you been doing the work? And they'd be like, no, Joe, you don't understand. Blah. And he'd be like, no, have you been doing the work? And they'd be like, no. And it's like, okay, go away, do the work, come back, and then tell me whether you've got a problem. And I guess that's kind of what I want to continue, that idea with all of you, and especially, my beautiful priestesses hear me say this all of the time. It's like we will hold in our head the idea that all of this spiritual stuff, not us because we're all awesome, but most of the world, all of this spiritual stuff is great until life actually happens. And then when life actually happens, we abandon our practices. The number of times my students or clients have said to me, I was so good with my devotion, I was doing it every day, and then things got difficult, or my relationship ended, or a parent died, or a child got sick, or whatever the situation is, and I stopped doing my practices. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? No, it doesn't make perfect sense. Just at the moment where the dream is kicking up a notch, you decide to eliminate the one thing that would help you navigate this. Why do we do that, Ricky? Why do we sabotage ourselves in that way? Well, the answer's in the question, really. It's sabotage. So when we are emancipating ourselves from the dream, so when we're recognizing that the dream is not a reality, and if you haven't read that beautiful quote that Barbara Brannigan shared yesterday in the group on Book Club Tuesday, please do. That wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. But anyway, have a look for it but in the dream, you have nothing. Nothing exists in the dream. Nothing at the level of matter is real. But we behave as though it is. And so our practices of devotion, which take us out of the dream, elevate our consciousness to the level of 5th dimensional or pure energy, pure potential, where we are crafting our reality, where we are predicting our future. And we elevate ourselves to that level. And then something happens in the dream down here at a lower state of consciousness. And we get sucked back into it like addicts coming in for another hit. And we use that as an excuse not to show up to our devotion. And why? Because we're terrified of our own power. Because that was my kid calling me. So he's with the nanny. He's fine. He doesn't need to speak to me right now. So it is vital that we do not overlook the absolute simplest truth, that the practices are what are going to get you there, not the complexity of the belief systems, not even the pictures of all the amazing brain scans, not even attending all the workshops anyone's ever run. If you want to change your life, if you truly want to walk the path of the mystic, you just have to show up, and you have to show up every damn day, and you have to show up to the simplest practices first, because there's no point going off on highly complex tangents, because it's in the simplicity of the practice that you will meet yourself as God. If you are involved in something that is so ridiculously complex, then it's highly likely that you're not going to be able to find what you need to find. You are going to instead get caught up in the machinations of the ego. So the simplest practices, of course, for me are heart coherence. Your life should be populated with heart coherence every moment. And ultimately, your life will become a constant state of heart coherence. And to follow that, I would love for you to simply go into meditation. Now, meditation doesn't have to look like what you think it looks like. I may have to wrap this up because now the nanny's calling me as well, which is a little bit annoying. But what I would love for you to do is just to take that offer and to hear these words, that what we need is to show up to our devotional practices, not to get more intelligent and more clever. And if you want to change your life and you're telling me that your spirituality is not working for you, then all I can do is say to you, have you practiced today? And if the answer is no, then get back to it, baby. And that's where you'll change your reality. Mwah. Have a beautiful day. Oh, sorry. Now I can't turn it off. Oh, it's all going really well, isn't it?